Hello and welcome in. I know what you're thinking. Ooh, girl, what are we going to talk about today? Well, let me tell you. We're going to talk about 15 of my favorite brooches that I've been stuck on wearing. That's no pun intended. I'm absolutely crazy this morning. I had limited time to do this, and before I forget, I want to do something special again and give a shout out to some of my friends. That girl, Dina Marie. If you're not familiar with that girl, Dina Marie, please go over and subscribe to her channel. Amazing reseller, a very dear friend. You will love her. And like I said, if you don't, something's wrong with you. That girl, Dina Marie, thank you for being my friend. Thank you for renewing my faith in humanity. I absolutely love you. I love you. Another one that I have to give a major shout out to that I can't help myself. Kirsten Red Resale. Kirsten has been my friend now for, boy, Kirsten, what has it been? 2 years? I'm sure 2 years too long for your sake. I'm a bit much to be friends with. And Kirsten has been my dear sweet sister on YouTube. And Kirsten, I absolutely adore you. She has sales with her husband, Michael, who is absolutely hilarious. Just like Jeremy is to me. He keeps her centered. He keeps her happy. Michael does an amazing job with Kirsten, and they're such a great team. So if you love vintage jewelry that's unusual, sterling silver, Mexican, Native American, really distinctive things, please go over to Kirsten Red Resale. And I don't know what happened to the D there, but I guess I got tired when I wrote that. So Kirsten Red Resale. Thank you for being my friend, and thank you for sticking with me. I absolutely adore you, Kirsten. Thank you. I love you so, so much. And then Bruden's Treasure Chest. And why I bring on Bruden's is he's like us, but he's different. Bruce has this, he's just got a knack about him that he finds fashionable, wearable, distinctive for really affordable prices. So if you love vintage jewelry that's affordable, you'll love Bruden's Treasure Chest. And he comes on with Dennis. And my love for both of them is equal. I love them equally because look at this. I bought this at their, I think it was their maybe third last sale, like maybe 3 weeks ago. What in the heck is this? Besides, when I saw it on the camera, I thought, oh, that's easy for me. That's easy for me to own. Look at that creation. A nod to Wendy Gell, like what Wendy Gell was doing way back in the day with that kind of constructivist out of pieces and parts and rhinestones and components. But what a fresh take on it. Look at that teal ground. I could talk about this for 30 minutes easily. When I saw this is one of Dennis's creations. My gosh, I don't even know. I don't know what to say. I bought it for resale because I knew I could sell it. I knew I could easily double my money. And now that I got it, I put it in my personal collection. That is an exceptional work of art. So if you love this, oh, and then look at this. They sent me these as a gift. And isn't this like, it's like Liberace and Tron Deadly Discs movie from the 80s had a baby. These are glasses they made me. And you know I'm going to rock these out at the flea market because you know how much I love to blend in, you know? And look at that with lime green nails. Yeah, that's an 80s dream come true. That was, it was so thoughtful of them. So boys, thank you so much. So Bruden's Treasure Chest, please go over and subscribe to those 3. I ask you, you know, support these resellers. It's very difficult to run a resale business these days. So Kirsten Red Resale, that girl Dina Marie, and Bruden's Treasure Chest. And again, more references coming soon because I have so many dear friends on YouTube and I don't want to ever leave anyone out. Now, on to what we're here for. Some of my favorite pins that I wear. Thank you for joining me today. And yes, I'm super excited. I got a lot of sleep last night. This is a brooch by Mary Gage. And I know I've shown a couple of these on my channel before, and I don't like to repeat showing you pieces, but I have a lot of new viewers now, and I don't want, you know, to say that I showed this and I don't want to talk about it again. But Mary Gage, Female metalsmith, Greenwich Village, New York. Very ahead of her time. Mary Gage's elegance of construction with that wire under gallery. As a silversmith, these works spoke to me. They had such power and grace in their form. Look how large that brooch is. Rock crystal in the center, cabochon that reflects the world around it. These dewdrops or raindrops spaced in between these elliptical and dramatic silver leaves. This brooch, you can wear it in springtime, you can wear it in summer, you can wear it in fall, and you can most certainly wear this in winter. What a powerhouse of design and craft. I love this brooch. And years ago, I think I paid $300, like it wasn't much for what it is. It was like $250, $300. And look at the tendrils that reach up to embrace that central rock crystal. I love that brooch. That's what kind of started the whole video for today. Then I go into the Martha Sleeper matchstick brooch. Bakelite, hand-painted tips at the top. And you might say to yourself, Jason, that's just plastic. I don't get it. I still don't get it. If you don't get it by now, I can't ask you anymore. I can't ask you to understand Bakelite. Whimsical, colorful, ahead of its time, turning plastic into a work of art. And I spent almost, I think this one was $1,250 or $1,500. And just about 3 months ago, I was offered $2,400 for it. And I declined. I said, I'm not selling that. It's simply not for sale. And that star that would have been there, that's been worn off over time, didn't bother me whatsoever. It showed this was honest. It was old. Look at the oxidation of the glue. Please be careful with Bakelite. Tons and tons and tons of reproductions. But look at what that took to get this together with angling that Bakelite piece and then laminating this together. And look how they kind of chamfered or chamfered that edge so that it would lay right as a pin. So when it's on, it had grace and substance. Look at the size. That gets me going. That brooch is one of my favorites. A lot of people see me out and about and they go, oh, I remember when you brought that on your channel. And I said, yeah, and I wear it all the time because I absolutely love it. Oh, I wanted to show this one. It was off, I don't know, a sterling rhinestone, a firework that's been frozen in time, an atomic burst that was frozen in time, sterling silver, late 50s. Love the jump ring to wear that as a pendant as well. When you buy a brooch, a lot of people are afraid. I don't want to put a hole in my clothing. I don't want to put a hole in my silk blouse. Well, I would recommend wearing a heavier fabric when you wear a brooch. Wear a t-shirt. These are perfect for cotton and t-shirt materials. When you look at one of my shirts and my videos, you'll probably see a ton of little holes on my left side. I always wear a brooch on my shirt. Every day of my life, I have a different brooch or a different pin on. And I used to call them, pins because, well, what else are they but a pin? And I love a good pin. I love a good brooch. It's a statement for the day, and no one can avoid that. If that's within 6 inches of your face, on your chest, or perched on your shoulder, that's just absolute goodness. You can get the little bail, the tube with the bail, and convert these to pendants if it doesn't have the little secondary thing. Loved that one too. Very fun, very whimsical. More Bakelite, of course. The key to your heart. How can you not love it? Oversized. This was the one that was, a similar one was on the cover of Life magazine, I believe in 1941. And the black and white photo of the military sweetheart, with just beautiful blonde and looking off to the right. And this brooch is the only thing in color on the cover of the magazine. It's a stunning photograph. So if you've not seen that Life magazine cover, go over and take a look at it because, it's incredible. I think her version is slightly different, the one that she's wearing. But look at old findings. Lots of Bakelite that's reproduction. But look at the oxidation. That's just a quick, look at the way that's constructed. That's absolute 40s. Do not buy Bakelite unless you're sure. Lots of reproductions. Lots and lots and lots of reproductions. And price point, it's not kind if you buy a reproduction. These I wore, I'll scoot these two out of the way. These three I wore kind of together or in like a duo. Like I might wear these two together. I might wear these two together. I might wear these two together. Let's get those out of the way. So, you know, a lot of people say, show us how you wear your pieces. And maybe I would wear these two together. That tells a story, and without saying a word. What I liked about these, and let me brush this one off really quick because this one is very dusty. I haven't reached for this one in a while, but I enjoy these because there's a modernist form and clean lines, and as a silversmith, these spoke to me. This one is an artisan piece, and it's signed down here. Never been able to figure this out, but I haven't really researched too much. And then this one's Jensen, George Jensen, and that's brooch number 379. It's a very well-known brooch, and you can look up the designer that Jensen then produced for, because a lot of times he had like, I believe that the one was Astrid Fogg. Can you imagine having the name Astrid Fogg? I love that for a name. Anyways, these were just fantastic sterling silver, incredibly well made. Stood the test of time and design. And then this is completely unsigned, but as a silversmith, I understood how difficult this would be to make with that reticulation of a silver sheet. Reticulated metal, meaning heated up very, very hot, and then it kind of melts and folds on itself in reticulation. What I loved is that simple pin mechanism. I love that direct pin mechanism and a very simple clasp on this side. And when people say, oh, that's Victorian because that's just a simple fold over. Oh, no. That's not Victorian. You already know that. This is 1980s. So I always say, don't date a brooch by its mechanism. Please don't, because I'm still making the same kind of mechanism and it's 2024. So the jewelry historians that go, oh, anytime you see that, that's clearly Victorian. Well, it's clearly not. It's clearly 1980s. So how could that be Victorian? I love it. Anyways, so there's these two, and people do a whole video on pin mechanisms and say, this is this. No, it's not. No, it's not. But look at the construction. And I loved the oxidation on this one to further the push and pull of that surface but look at the two together. Yeah, they're monumental, and you might only want to wear one. That's the thing about jewelry. It tells your story. Sometimes when people say, well, less is more, and I say sometimes too much is just the right amount. So this is a dog in the doghouse, and this is the school-themed brooch. You might want to say, why so much Bakelite? Well, because my collection is just monstrous, and it goes on for days and days. So I have 3 of this brooch. The reason why I bought 3 is I wanted one example that was perfect. So there was no wear to the paint, and I just wanted one to put behind glass. And I know that seems strange, but it's my collection. I'll do what I want. So this one I wore, and the paint was already kind of chipped, and I thought, this is safe to wear. So, and the third one, don't ask me why I have it. Probably because I got a really good buy on it for resale. And this is the books with the pencils. Again, just whimsical and cool. 13 minutes in, and I promised myself a 15-minute video today, so we're right on task. Look at us go. This one's Victorian. Paste stones, and I will do a video just on paste stones. And I'll educate you on all the information that I know. And some of these are black dot paste with a little black dot that was painted from behind. And when I talk about European cut diamonds and I talk about the culet, well, that's the culet of the stone. And they made that intentional. They made that little black dot very intentional. And I really loved this pin. It's a mixture of silver and gold, around 1865 to 1875. Yes, closed back, so some people would always say, oh, that's Georgian. Well, this could be 1830, 1840. Look at that. Don't judge it by a pin mechanism. That's clearly been replaced. A tube hinge on this side, totally original and Victorian or late Georgian. And then on this side, look, they replaced that. Do not date your brooches or your necklaces by their findings. Over history, they are sometimes replaced. Let that be a good note, because a lot of times you'll buy unmarked gold or that's unmarked now but used to be marked. that on the mechanism was marked. And then I surprise you with this. I should have just crawled him slowly into the frame. And look at this, for 1980s. What? I always wanted one of these in the 80s. I could never afford one. Even then, I think they were like $200 and $300 in the 80s. Marcasite over and over. Look at those little red eyes, so carefully set in there. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. I think every stone is there, which is amazing because you look at marcasite and one's missing. Look at that all the way down, and I love the grace of this pin. I think this is 7 inches. Yeah, about 6.5, almost 7, because, yeah, look at the tail. They did make smaller versions, but I saved up. And I said, I want the biggest version that they made in the 80s. And I bought this one. I think I bought this one about 8 years ago. 8 or 9 years ago. That came from an antique show. And yeah, oh boy. And I think I only paid $90. Yeah, I think I paid $90. I would buy that every day for $90. I still think it's worth $300, or $350. This is by Marcel Boucher. Marcel Boucher was one of my favorite creators of costume jewelry, and I focused on Marcel Boucher from around, I really liked the designs from like the early 40s. I would say that the early 40s into the 50s were my favorite designs for Boucher, made to look realistic. And I had a fascination and almost a love affair with praying mantises when I was a child. I found them to be aliens of the insect world, and that they could turn their head and look at you, and they could gaze upon you and had no fear. They have no fear. They are fearless for such a small wonder of the world. They have no fear. And I raised them in college. I actually ordered cocoons, cryogenic. There were 3 of them, and I ordered cryogenic cocoons when I was in college. And I think I've shared this story one other time, and it's for farming purposes. And I wanted to raise baby praying mantises and let them go, because in Ohio, they were at a point, I believe that they were almost endangered. On the endangered list, and we used to see them all the time when I was a child, and then all of a sudden they were like nowhere to be found, probably pesticides and who knows what. But they as strong as they are, they're fragile. But anyways, I ordered 3 cocoon cases, and they came in the mail, and they came in packed in dry ice way back when. And sure enough, I put them in an aquarium, and I raised baby praying mantises. It was unbelievable. And I didn't know how small they were when they were born. And in the aquarium that I had the one cocoon in, they crawled out and they were all over my apartment. For weeks I would find them on like my drapes, on my nightstand. They were my friends. And then of course I left the windows open, and finally they all escaped. So, but yeah, they are incredible creatures. And this brooch, as soon as I saw this, I had to have it. It's a very rare brooch. I believe back in the day, there's the early MB, Marcel Boucher, and there's the falcon head above the MB. So if you see that mark, go after it. But that's the very early mark for Marcel Boucher. And then eventually he spelled out his name. And a lot of people say Boucher because it's spelled that way, Boucher. And throughout time, I just learned, how to pronounce most of these names. And I still fumble some of them. But look at those stones. Other people would say, oh, you got to replace these. They're grayed down. They're black. No, that's the history of the piece. And I loved the grace and the gesture. When you find this brooch, the antennae are always broken off. That one was definitely broken off and resoldered. I did not repair that, but you can see that had been resoldered over time. That's the first thing to break off of the original. Look at the grace and the overlay of that rhodium-plated pot metal. Very large brooch. Anyways, I think this one used to sell for like $2,500 to $2,700. I think it's still up there. I think it's like $1,800 to $2,200. There is an enameled version as well, but I wanted the all rhinestone version, and I found that at the flea market one morning. And the dealer was just setting up, and I got really lucky. It's all about timing, because I almost missed this by about 3 minutes, because there was another reseller, another vintage reseller that was hot on my heels that day. And she did not know that I reached this before she did. I had it in a bag and I had it within my pouch by the time she got to the booth. It's all about timing. And I could comment on all the things I've missed, on all the treasures that I've missed over the years, but this is a trophy. That's a testament to being at the right place at the right time. 3 more and we're done. William Spratling, Artisan, created by Shirley Bendler. And then this is Frank Patania. So I'll go in this order. So this is William Spratling. And I believe this one on this mark, I think it's from the late 40s, I believe, on this mark. Spratling silver in an oval, the conjoined WS. Make sure that you know that mark. Make sure that you know that mark. Now, there is a similar mark like that, and I forget who it was that did a similar mark like that. It wasn't Alfredo Villasana. I'm trying to think of the one that it was. Seraphim, maybe? I'm going to draw a blank. I should have brought out my Mexican silver book. But anyways, that's William Spratling, and then marked Spratling silver in an oval. Again, I think that's late 40s from my database. Maybe it's into the 50s, but I think one or the other. Sterling silver hand fabricated, and it's the moth. And everybody loves this brooch. And sometimes I think there are inset stones here and here. Either turquoise or amethyst, or it could be both. I think there's a brooch that has turquoise here, and then there's a brooch that has amethyst cabochons on the tips of the wings there. Loved that antenna with that wrapped wire in sterling. Original oxidation, and it will stay that way in my collection. When people polish these, I just cringe. I don't know, I just lose it. Because look at that surface. Honest and modeled, and boy, it says I am important and I've been left alone for a long time. This is Shirley Bendler, and let's see here if I can get in on the mark there. I think it's Shirley Bendler. Is it Bendler or Bender? I thought it was Bendler. Let's see here. I'm going to change her name for history. It's Bender, Bender. And I believe that's Shirley. Now watch, I probably have her first name wrong too. I'm not re-recording this. I'm not doing it. And I'm not going to edit ever. Wooden, painted, modular, Memphis modern, late 1980s, early 1990s. Be aware that such things are really going to surge in price. These are, I believe when I bought this, they were worth around $300 to around $350. This is going to skyrocket. It will be one of the things that will go up. And the reason why is the artistry that went into these pieces. Much like in the 70s, like Art Smith, let's see here, Ed Weiner, Art Smith, Margaret Tapata, Betty Cook, those artists that were studio silversmiths that I studied when I was in school, those prices have surged over the years. Those used to be very affordable, and then all of a sudden, supply and demand. You know, when those artists had passed away and died off, there's a finite amount of their work. And the collectors, there's more and more collectors of it, so it just elevates in price. It's a natural progress, but this is great for Bender's work. Very well documented artist, and loved that dramatic sterling silver swoop that then comes over those painted. I loved that directionalness. Looks like a corporate sculpture miniaturized into a wearable piece of art. And I loved the color play on that painted wood, so carefully put together. Look how that's countersinked on that side. Someone would say, well, that, it doesn't make sense that it's so simple. Yeah, it does. Look at that, a connection there. Look at that it's just not haphazardly glued together. That actually bypasses to create a very strong foundation to then have that sterling silver spring forth from. Love that brooch. Very wearable. And then into this one, this is our final. Let me get this cleaned up a little bit too. I looked at this the other day and I thought, I just need to wipe that down. And I just use a soft brush, just so you know. And then just kind of blow on it a little bit and clean that out. Look how beautiful. Just a little soft brush. Get the dust off of it, This is just fantastic. This is Frank Patania, Senior. And know that mark. Know these marks, please. The conjoined F and P, Frank Patania, however you want to pronounce it. And then sterling silver, a very well-documented Native American artist. And why I reached for this one on great occasion is the craft, the design, the sensitivity, the color of the stones, and then this balance of form, the balance of alternating the turquoise with then those kind of raindrops of silver that were then applied to the surface. Loved the traditional rope twist border in the center there. And look at the matrix in the center stone, then being framed by these stones that have such little matrix. There's still some imperfections there. You know, there's still some Mother Nature had a beautiful day and created some modeling in these stones. I've always been seduced by color. There's always been something about when you have so many design elements that make sense in one piece, that's where I always put my money. I always wanted to invest in where these pieces came from and the artists behind them as well. The ones that I showed you today, there was a mixture of origins where I found them. Flea markets. Let me look over. A yard sale. Nope, 2 yard sales. 2 different flea markets. eBay, an online auction. Oh, one came from a storage unit. A dealer bought out a storage unit. As I look to my right, one did come out of a storage unit, which is amazing. She paid $20 for the storage unit, and the brooch is worth, I think that one's worth about $800. Yeah, that's worth like $800 now that I look at it. And then, another one from eBay. Oh, and another one from eBay. So there had been times when I would find things that were both appropriately listed, and then a lot of times when things were mislisted or misidentified. So this love affair with jewelry, I look at the origins of some of these pieces and I just get to be, I realize how lucky I am. And I really am. I'm so fortunate. So, and I'm most fortunate that you're here today with me, that you've supported me along this journey. And look at me go. I said I would do a 15-minute video, and I'm right on time at 26 minutes and 20 seconds. So please go enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Thank you for sharing out my channel. Thank you for getting me so close to my 10,000 subscribers. I am to the moon delighted. I've got a lot planned for this next year. I don't like outlines or regulation. I don't like rules. We already know that from me quitting my job in June. I don't like rules or being told what to do. You cannot cage this bird. It's not going to happen. But I looked at my outline. Boy, oh boy, 2025. Look out. So thank you so much for joining in. And you know I love you because I do.